Hello students, this is the analysis of NEET test 112, the physics part, and here what I have found 22 questions to be easy, 20 to be medium, 3 to be tough, and out of these two questions have none of the options as correct, so 2 questions are bonus for as per me. So as per my logic, 22 and 10, if I take 32, so again if I take this 32, that means it basically becomes that 120 or 125 would be the par score here. And if you're doing very good, you should get 160, 165 plus, because the questions are not that tough if you have practiced. There are some questions good on rolling and other things, but still 120 or 115 getting is not a tough task in this paper. So this was today's analysis. Let's see the paper. Question 1. Magnetic moment due to the motion of the electron in nth energy state of hydrogen atom is proportional to. So here I can say the gyromagnetic ratio, you know that mu by L or m by L is equal to q by 2m. So that is a fixed quantity. So we know mu is proportional to L and L is equal to NH by 2 pi. That means mu is going to be proportional to N. That is what you do, that Bohr magneton thing and everything. So you should be able to do this. This is option A. Next thing. As per the Bohr model, the minimum energy in electronic volts required to remove an electron from ground state of lithium 2 plus. So directly you can say that is energy of the first state. That would be 13.6 Z square. That would be 13.6 into Z square means 9. So it would be 122.4 out of these options. Go for option D in this particular case. Block of mass m with a semicircular track of radius r rests on a horizontal smooth surface. Cylinder of radius small r slips on the track. If the cylinder is released from rest from the top, the distance moved by the block when the cylinder reaches the bottom. So here if I treat this m plus m as a system, and since it is smooth, what I can say, there is no F external along horizontal, no F external x along horizontal, so the CM motion won't change. It was at rest, it will remain at rest. That means if it travels this r distance with respect to the block won't stay here, it will shift backwards. So let's say if it shifts back by distance x, if it shifts by distance x, then we can say the effective distance moved by the cylinder would be r minus x. So what I can make it out, there is distance moved by cylinder, that is m r minus x, m1 delta x1 plus m2 delta x2. It has moved x back, so that would be minus x would be equal to 0. So x you can make it out as mr upon m plus m. That is a standard case for you. And hey, wait a minute, the radius is also given, so it would be, let's say, r minus x, because this would be the center's position. So it would be r minus r. That would be the more better option we can go for. So option C will be the most appropriate here. So we can, okay, not C, just look at it, it is small m. So be careful, otherwise you will lose the marks. So option B would be the most appropriate one. And just remember, it would be r minus r here. And also that option was not given, which we were getting without considering that. When two bodies collide elastically, the force of interaction between them is definitely conservative. Therefore, you can have that potential energy recovering back to the original one, and the kinetic energy becomes the same. Solid body rotates an angle theta about a stationary axis. As per this law, what is the mean value of angular velocity between 0 to the time it comes to rest? So first of all, rest means this theta is given as 60 minus 2t cube, so omega at any instant becomes 6 minus 6t square, and rest means omega becomes 0, or you can say t square becomes 1, or t equals to 1 second. So you have to find omega average between t equal to 0 and t equal to 1 second. That would be theta at 1 second minus theta at 0 second divided by the time taken, that is 1 second. So at 1 second it would be 6 minus 2, that is 4, 0 was 0, that is 4 by 1, so 4 radian per second. That would be the answer that we would be taking. Next one. Chi1 and Chi2 are the susceptibility of a paramagnetic material at temperature T1 and T2. So what we say, Chi is inverse to T. So what we have, we can directly say Chi is KT1, or you can say Chi1 T1 would be equal to Chi2 T2. Chi T will remain constant. So this would be option B. This is the Curie's law that you remember. When a Daniell cell is connected in the secondary circuit of a potentiometer, the balancing length is found to be 540. If the balancing length becomes 500 when the cell is short circuit, that's a standard case. R would be capital R, L1, L bigger upon L smaller minus 1, that you write. That is 1 ohm into 540 by 500 minus 1. So it is 40 by 500. You can make it out 40 by 500 or 4 by 50. 4 by 50 means 0.0 0.08 ohms that you will take out. This is option A here. It is 0.08 ohms, a standard question. Which one of the following circuit is used to verify Ohm's law? So you know, voltmeter connected in parallel, ammeter connected in series to the resistor we are measuring. So the resistor that we are using here. So now this one is a very tricky one. I remember this is from 2003 screening of IIT, and you get two answers for this at many sources. One will give A, one will give B. Now I'll tell you how to make it out. You know D and C are false because voltmeter is not connected like this. Now in both of them the V is going to remain the same. The voltmeter will always give the same reading, that is for sure. So now what we can do, out of these two choices I'll go with B, because this B will directly give me the current in this variable resistor. As this resistance changes, this current will also change. So that could be the more feasible option out of the two. So I'll go with option B here. Though you at internet will find many sources giving it as A, but I feel B is the more appropriate choice here. Next one, a current carrying coil is subjected to a uniform magnetic field. The coil will orient so that its plane becomes inclined at 45 to the magnetic field, inclined in any arbitrary angle parallel to the magnetic field. You know, it is a stable equilibrium when it is parallel to the parallel, that means the area vector is parallel to the magnetic field. It's something like this. This area vector becomes parallel to this magnetic field. That means the plane will be normal to the field. So go for option. Now next, a rectangular wire loop with length A and width B lies in the XY plane as shown in the figure. Within the loop there is a time dependent magnetic field given like this. C and omega are constant. The magnitude of the EMF induced in the loop is a function of time. So first of all, this won't induce any flux here because we need B dot A. So we need that B component parallel to area vector, which would be K cap. So what I can write, the flux at any instant, and because this K component varies with the coordinate Y, so because it is varying with the coordinate Y, what I will do, this Y is taken here, X is taken here. So what we can do, we can go at any Y and take a small strip like this, and this is dy. So what we write, the d phi through this would be B into A. B is what we will have, Cy sine of omega t into area becomes this becomes A into dy. You can write it like this. So the flux at any instant would be integrating this. What I can write, A Cy sine omega t dy, and limit will go for y from 0 to b. So it would be A C b square by 2 sine omega t. That is the flux magnitude any time. So the EMF would be d phi by dt. If I say this magnitude of E would be this d phi by dt, that would be omega A C b square by 2, and sine becomes cos omega t. That is what we are getting. So going by this, I think which option is matching? I think this option A matches. So go for option A now. Next one, 4-point charges minus q, 2q placed at each of the corner of the square. The relation between capital and small q, for which the potential at the center of the square will become 0. Okay, so what we have like this, minus q, 2q, something like this. So because all are at the same distance, I can directly write the potential at the square center would be, just add them up, this would be q plus q upon whatever be the distance. Let's say if it was A, it was A by root 2, that would be 0. So you need to have q plus q equal to 0. That means q is equal to minus q. Go for option A, that you can directly do here. Next one, two capacitors of capacitances C are in series. If one of them is filled with dielectric substance K, the effective capacitance will become, now it will become, one is C, the other will become Kc. So C1 C2 upon C1 plus C2, C plus Kc. So 1C will go, it will become Kc upon K plus 1. That would be the answer, Kc upon K plus 1. So go for option A here. That's an easy one. Next, what is the binding energy of the Earth Sun system, neglecting the effect of other planets and satellites? Mass of the Earth, mass of the Sun, distance is given. Assume circular orbit around the Sun, of Earth around the Sun. I think this is repeated one. We did it some days back. I can write it as minus g, mass of Earth into mass of Sun upon the distance r. So we have to just check the powers here only. So the magnitude, if I'll check, so binding energy would be positive, total energy is negative. So g is 6.67 into 10 to the power minus 11. Earth mass is 6 in 10 to the power 24. That is 2 in 10 to the power 30, and the distance would be 1.5 square. That would be 2 point, no, not square, this is r only, sorry, into 10 to the power 11. So this is 11 and 11 minus 22. 30 and 24, 54. 54 minus 22, if you do 54 minus 22 will give you 32, and the 1 will also come because 6 6 36 something, so it will be 10 to the power 33. Okay, so we have to check the digit also. I was looking at only power will help. No. So what you have now, this is what you have 1.5, this is 4 times, so 4 2s are 8, so 8 into 6.67 into 10 to the power 32 we wrote. So 8 7s are 56, 8 6 are 48 and 5, that is 53, 8 6 are 48, again 48 and 5, that is 53, so it is 5.336 into 10 to the power 33. So the more, but okay, plus 2r, GMM by 2r, I forgot that thing, it is GMM by r, only potential energy, binding energy is GMM by 2r. So please remember this. So if I divide it now, so 2.6 would be the more appropriate one. So be careful, otherwise you will lose mark. The option was also there. Next one. A stationary object is released from a point P at a distance 3r from the center of the moon, which has radius r, mass m. Which one of the following expressions give the speed of the object on hitting the moon? So just to check the change in potential energy, initial potential energy was at a distance 3r, so it was minus GMM by 3r. Finally, it has a surface, so minus GMM by r. So what I can make it out, ui plus ki is equal to uf plus kf. Since no external force is acting, ki is 0, so final kinetic energy would be ui minus uf. So it becomes GMM by r common, it becomes 1 minus 1 by 3. It is half mv square, so mv square by 2 equals mm, and let's say cancel up, cancel there only, why to write here. So cancel up, so v comes out as root 2 gm by r, and it will come out as 2 by 3, so it is a root 4 gm by 3 r root. That would be option B is the more appropriate one here. Next one. Bucket full of hot water cools from 75 to 70 in T1, 70 to 65 in T2, and 65 to 60 in T3. You know, as the temperature decreases, the time taken for further drops will decrease because the rate of cooling is proportional to the excess temperature. So T1 will be quickest, T3 would be the maximum time. So go for option C, that's an easy one. Vessel contains a gram of oxygen at a pressure of 10 atm at a temperature 47. It is found that because of the leak, the pressure becomes 5/8 of original value and temperature also fall. Find the mass of oxygen that is leaked out. So vessel is there, so volume will remain the same, and pressure is changing, temperature is changing, moles are also changing. So if volume is same, what we can make it out, I can simply say N1 T1 upon P1 would be equal to N2 T2 upon P2. Okay, so what we have, the final N2 moles would be N1 into T1 by T2 into P2 by P1, that you can write. So N1 was whatever it was, let's say let it be N1. Now T1 by T2, the initial temperature 47 means it would be 27 plus 23, 20, and the 27 means it is 300, and P2 by P1 final is 5/8 of the original one, so it would be 5/8. So what you are left with, this is 8 4s are 32, this is 4 into 5, 20 by 30, that is 2 by 3 of N1. So 2/3 moles remain, so mass also remains 2/3, so that is leaked out, sorry, 2/3 is remaining, so leaked out would be 1 by 3. So be careful, don't go such hurry. In the Carnot engine, efficiency is 40 at hot reservoir temperature T. For efficiency 50%, what should be the temperature of the hot reservoir? So what you have, 0.4 is 1 minus Tc by Th, let's say T. So now 0.5 would be 1 minus Tc by T dash. So what we can do, from the first equation, Tc by T is 0.6. From the second one, Tc by T dash is 0.5. Divide both. T dash by T comes out as 6 by 5. So T dash is 6/5. T by 5. Go for option C here. That's an answer for you. Conducting loop has a total resistance capital R. A perpendicular magnetic uniform field B equal to gamma T is applied normal to the plane of the loop, where gamma is constant, T is time. The induced current flowing through loop will be. So here the bigger loop will win, you know, let's say it is perpendicular, so the flux is increasing inward, so to oppose it the current should be like anti-clockwise. So anti-clockwise means it would be like this, and here it would be like this, it would be clockwise because we will take the difference of the two. So the flux we can make it out, or the EMF we can make it out, is A2 minus A1 into dB by dt, that is B square minus A square into dB by dt would be gamma. So the current you need to find out would be B square minus A square times gamma divided by R. That is what you will have. So go for option B here. Next one. An electron and a proton have equal kinetic energies. They enter in a magnetic field normal to the B. Then both will follow a circular path with same radius, or what we do. So both are acting perpendicular, so they will follow the circular path for sure. But since They have same kinetic energy, radius what we say is root 2 mk by qb. Because their mass is different, radius won't be same. Helical is wrong, parabolic wrong. That means all the three statements above are false. Next one. The motion of a particle along a straight line is given by this. The retardation of the particle when velocity becomes 0. So first of all, what is velocity? Velocity is 12 minus 3t square. When it becomes 0, so for v equal to 0, what we can make out? T square equal to 4. So t equal to 2 seconds. We need to find acceleration. So acceleration is dv by dt, which you get as minus 60. So acceleration at t equal to 2 seconds would be minus 12. So the magnitude of retardation, that is retardation minus sign, is already incorporated. It would be 12 meter per second square. Go for next. Particle mass m projected from the ground with initial linear momentum p to have maximum possible range. Its minimum kinetic energy will be, so maximum possible range, you know, it is at 45 degree, and minimum kinetic energy will be at the highest point. So what we can make it out, at highest point we know the speed remaining would be u by root 2 u cos theta. Initial was u, so that kinetic energy becomes k initial by 2. So k minimum would be k initial by 2, and k initial, you know, is p square by 2m. That is p square by 2m divided by 2, that is p square by 4m. Go with option B here. Next one. While waiting in a car at a signal, an 80 kg man and his car suddenly accelerated at 5 meter per second to a speed of 5 meter per second due to a rear end collision by another vehicle. If the impact time is 0.4, the average force, so average force is delta p by delta t. So delta p is 80 into 5 total change divided by 0.4. So 400 by 0.4, that is 1000 Newton. You can go for option D directly. Next one. The minimum force required to move a body up an incline is 3 times the minimum force required to prevent it from sliding down the plane if the coefficient of friction between the plane and the body is 1 by 2 root 3 angle of incline. So first of all, to prevent from falling, you apply a force F1, let's say here, and in limiting case Fs max also helps you, and they both counters mg sin theta. So what we can say, F1 would be equal to mg sin theta minus Fs max, that would be equal to mu s mg cos theta. This is the first equation that you will get. So this is the first equation we can get. Now the next one, to move it up, because you have a tendency to slide it up, so the friction now would be your in opposition. Fs max will be here, mg sin theta will be here. Let's say this is F2. So F2 comes out in limiting case as mg sin theta plus mu s mg cos theta. You must have done such profiles. So given F2 is thrice of F1, so just solve it. Mg sin of theta plus mu s mg cos theta is equal to thrice of mg sin theta minus mu s mg cos of theta. So what we have now, we have there is 4 mu s mg cos theta comes here, 2 mg sin theta remains here. So this mg goes. So what we are left with, we have to find the angle. So this 10 of theta becomes 2 times mu s, that is 1 by root 3. 1 by root 3 means the angle would be 30 degree. So go for this option C, that would be the answer. Next one. Sample contains 10 to the power minus 2 kg each of two substance A and B with half-lives 4 and 8 seconds. Their atomic weights are in the ratio 1:2. Amount of A and B after an interval of 16 seconds. So you just check the mass also. The ratio in which number decreases, mass will also decrease. So both have 10 to the power minus 2. Amounts of A and B after an interval of 6 seconds is. So A was 10 to the power minus 2 kg for A. There is 4 seconds. So 4 half-lives have gone. So it would be 10 to the power minus 2 upon 2 to the power 4. That you can directly write as 10 to the power minus 4 you can write, and you can write it as 100 by 16. So that would be 6.25 into 10 to the power minus 4. That would be A. So you left with only one option. Let me do for B also. Because it has 8 seconds, so its 2 half-life has passed to 10 to the power minus 2 upon 2 to the power 2. That is 1 by 4 into 10 to the power minus 2. That is 2.5 into 10 to the power minus 3 kg. That's an answer. Go for option D here. No need to find moles here. You can directly write the relation for mass also. Neutron moving with velocity u, it collides head-on and elastically with atom of mass number A. If the initial kinetic energy is, then how much kinetic energy will be retained by the neutron after collision? Since it is elastic collision, take it as 1 and take it as 2 atom. Because atom is at rest, we can directly say the velocity of neutron after collision would be m1 minus m2 upon m1 plus m2 into u1, because u2 is 0. So m1 minus m2, if I do, this is m minus a times m, if I can write, that would be m plus a times m into u. So that becomes the negative means it will reverse the direction, and I can check the magnitude as a minus 1 over a plus 1. So it is a minus 1 over a plus 1 times u. So what is the kinetic energy retained? So kinetic energy retained fraction, how much kinetic energy will be retained? So kinetic energy retained would be half m into v1 square, half m into a minus 1 upon a plus 1 whole square into u square. So this is half m u square was initially, so e into a minus 1 upon a plus 1 whole square. So what I think the option C matches up. Next one. 2 point masses 3 and 1 are attached to opposite end of a horizontal spring with spring constant 300. The natural vibration frequency, you can directly say here you will use the reduced mass instead of the single mass. So reduced mass is m1 m2 over m1 plus m2, and this reduced mass would be 1 into 3 by 4, so 3 by 4 kg. So effectively what we will have, frequency is 1 by 2 pi root of k by m, you will write. So k is 300 and m comes out as 3 by 4, so it comes 400. So 20 by 2 pi, 20 by 2 pi means 10 by pi, you can make it out. So it would be 10 by pi, approximately 3 hertz that you will have here. Now go for the next one. Simple harmonic motion is represented by this. The angular frequency of the oscillation is, so what you can write it as sin square omega t minus 2 cos square omega t. So I can write this as sin square theta can be written as 1 minus cos square theta, so 1 minus 3 cos square omega t, and this cos square omega t, we know cos square theta can be written as 1 plus cos 2 theta by 2. So you will see it will be in the order of this 2 omega, so angular frequency would be 2 omega. Directly you can make it out from this logic. Next one. About 5% of the power of 100 watt light bulb is converted to visible radiation. What is the average intensity of visible radiation at a distance of 10 meter? So 5% power means 5 watt. So intensity after a distance r would be p upon 4 pi r square, because we are assuming it to be isotropically. And what we have now, this would be directly 5 upon 4 pi r square maybe becomes 100. So it becomes 1 by 20, 1 by 80 pi. So 1 by 80 pi, that basically leaves you with 10 to the power minus 3 into 1000 I can do upon 80 pi. So this is what you have, 125 by, this is if I do this 8 table with 100 would be 12.5 upon 3.14 into 10 to the power minus 3. So it would be 4 approximately into 10 to the power minus 3. Go for this watt per meter square here. Next one. Light beam consists of two types of photon. In one type, each photon has the energy 2 eV, and another type each has 3 eV. The light beam is incident of photometric 1 eV. The maximum kinetic energy will correspond to this, and that would be 2 eV. Directly you can go. So that's an easy one for you. In each heartbeat, a heart pumps 80 milliliter of blood at an average pressure of 100 mm of Hg. What would be the power output of the heart that is being asked to you? So what we can say, power we can make out, let's say like in thermodynamics we do work done is equal to P delta V. So that is the work done per unit time. So work done per unit time would be P dV by dt. I can make it out, that would be the power. So pressure is 100 mm Hg. 100 mm Hg means you can make it out in the SI unit, it would be 100 by 760 into ATM into SI unit would be approximately 10 to the power 5. Okay, into what we have, heart pumps blood at an average pressure of this is 80 milliliter of blood in each heartbeat. Okay, and the time will need to be remember. Okay, so 80 ml means 10 to the power minus 3 liters or minus 6 meter cube, but it is 60 heartbeat per minute, that is 1 second. So no issue, that time will be okay, that time would be 1 second. Okay, so what we are left with, this is 876. What we can do, this will be 2, this would be 19, so 200 by 19 into 10 to the power minus 1, or you can write it as 20 by 19 watt. So it is 1 point something, 1 point what we can say 06 would be the more appropriate option going by this, because it is slightly greater than 10 to the power 5 we know. So we don't go for 1, we'll go for 1.06 here. Next one. Two wires, same length, same cross section, with Young's modulus y, 2y connect in series, and one end is fixed on roof and another end with mass m make SHM, then the time period is, so effectively you will have two springs in series. So the we can say spring constant is Ay by L. So first one is Ay by L, the second one would be 2Ay by L. So what would be the effective spring constant? 1 upon k equivalent is 1 by k1 plus 1 by k2. So that would be equal to L upon 2Ay plus L upon Ay. So if I take it 2Ay as the LCM, that would be 3L upon 2Ay. So 2Ay by 3L. So time period is 2 pi root of m by k. K becomes 2Ay and this becomes 3L. So what we are left with? We are left with the choice This, let me check, this is option C, that is a nice one. The graph which represents the relation between refractive index with wavelength, you know mu is a plus b by lambda square. So it will, as the lambda increases, it will decrease for sure. So it cannot be, it cannot be, it cannot be. So we are left with only D's choice. Next one. When the angle of incidence on a transparent material is 60, the reflected light is completely polarized. That is a Brewster angle. So what we can make it out, it is incident on a material. So what I can directly say, 1060 degree would be equal to n. So n is equal to 1060. That is root 3. That is equal to C by V. So V is equal to C by root 3. C by root 3 becomes root 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second that you will do. Next. From a circular cardboard of uniform thickness and mass m, a square disc of the maximum possible area is cut. A square disc of the maximum possible area is cut if the moment of inertia of the square with the axis of rotation at the center and normal to the plane of the disc is ma square by 6, the radius of the circular cardboard. So let me draw it like this. This is be the square, and we have taken out the maximum possible area, that would be like this. This is a square disc taken out. So let's say this length we can write it as, now I don't know what they have taken as a, let me call it as let me call it as B, and let the radius of that be R. So what I can make it out, because it is a maximum possible area, what I can say, the diagonal root 2b is equal to the diameter, that is 2r. Now the mass of the disc to the mass of the total would be equal to the disc area is pi square and the total area is pi r square. So what we can make it out, the disc mass is b square upon pi r square into m. Now about this axis for the disc, we know the moment of inertia is mb square by 6, mass of disc into b square by 6, which is given as ma square by 6. That means this b square would be equal to a square into m upon m of disc. And what is this m upon m of disc? That would be equal to a square upon, if I do this, this will come out as what we can make it out, it would be pi r square by b square, if I am right. Yes, if I am right, it would be like this. So this would be m upon md that we can write here. So this is a somewhat typical thing to get to me. So what we have, b to the power 4 is equal to pi a square r square, that is what we are getting up here. And what is b? B you know is a root 2r. So b is equal to r by root sorry, what we can have, yes, we have root 2b equal to 2r. So b is equal to root 2r. So if I do this root 2r, it becomes 4r to the power 4 is equal to pi a square r square. So this r square terms comes out as pi a square by 4. So r comes out as pi by root of pi by 2 into 8. That is what we can get. And as per me, no option is coming like this. So none of the option is correct here. I am leaving it. No option for me is coming correct. Consider the following diagram, in which direction the motion of the spool of thread kept over a perfectly rough horizontal surface will take place. In which direction the motion will kept place? Okay. In the first one, I'll say it is placed over a rough horizontal surface. In the first case, the torque about this IOR is 0. There is no torque exerted about IOR, so it won't move. So in the third, in this case it won't move. Okay, we have put it 3/4. Okay, so this torque is 0. Sorry, this torque is 0 about IOR. This is having this F into, let's say, A here, and it is having F into B here. So net torque is this side, so it will revolve like this. So it will go to the left side in this particular case, going by the logic from that IOR, if you have done such questions before. Next, the VI characteristic of a diode is shown in the figure. The ratio of forward to reverse bias resistance is the same question I took in that revision series. You can say that in the forward bias, the resistance in the forward bias is that here you have changed 0.1 volts and the current has changed by 10 milliamperes. So it comes out as 10 ohms. In the reverse bias, you change it by 10 and current changes by 1 microampere. So it is 10 to the power 7. So what you have now, this is 10 to the power, the ratio to forward to reverse would be 10 to the power minus 6. Go for option B here. Next one. Common emitter amplifier has a voltage gain of 50, input impedance 100, output impedance 200, the power gain will be. So first of all, AV you write it as beta R out upon Rn. So beta comes out as AV is 50, R input is 100, R output is 200. So it comes out as this goes, this is 25. So power gain is voltage gain into current gain, that is 15 to 25. Again, this is a repeated one from some of the previous NT Abhyas test. I can remember it. Next, constant temperature, increasing the pressure of a gas by 10%, volume will decrease by. So we'll take amount to be also constant. So PV is constant. So what I can say, P1 V1 is P2 V2. So V2 by V1 is P1 by P2. So increasing the pressure, so P1 by P2 would be P upon 1.1 P. That is, you will have, so V2 you can write it as 1 upon 1.1 V1. So it will decrease, and how much it will decrease? 1 upon 1.1. So if I do it in percentage terms, so this would be V2 minus V1 by V1. If I do, that would be 1 upon 1.1 minus, so decrease, so I can directly write it as 1 minus 1 upon 1.1 into 100%. So it would be 0.1 upon 1.1 into 100%. So you will have as, it would be 100 by 11%. So it would be approximately 9.09%. That would be the answer here. Next one. Resistance is this, the maximum error in R is, you can directly say a fractional error percentage in R would be delta V by V plus delta I by I. The voltage is 5 by 100, that is 5%. This is 0.2 by 100, or you can say 2 by 100, that is 2%. So it would be 5 plus 2, that's an easy thing to go for, 7% here. Next one. In YDSE, if yellow light is replaced by blue light, so the interference fringes, you know that fringe width is lambda d by d. So yellow to blue, that means lambda decrease, so fringe width will become narrower. So go for option D here. Next one. Parallel beam of light wavelength passes through a slit of it. The angular spread of the diffraction, maximum angular spread would be 2 lambda by A, that is 2 into 4 into 10 to the power minus 7. A is 5 into 10 to the power minus 3. So it is 8 by 5, that is 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 4 radian. Go for option B in this case. Next one. In a resonance tube, oil of density higher than that of water is used, and the resonance frequency would remain the same, because it only applies the closed end. It doesn't matter whether you put a petrol or you put a water inside it, it will remain the same, because that will be decided only by the length of the air column. Which frequency produces a sound that can be heard by a person? So we know 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz, this cannot be heard, this cannot be heard, this cannot be heard, only 2 kilohertz you can hear. Simple pendulum release from A as shown. If MNL represents the mass and length of the gain in kinetic energy at B is, so that is the loss in potential energy. What I can say, it has gone down by height h. H would be L cos 30, so that is mgl cos 30. So mgl cos 30 is root 3 by 2 mgl. Go for option C here. Engine can pull 4 coaches at a maximum speed of 20 meter per second. Engine's mass is twice the mass of every coach. Assuming resistive forces are proportional to weight of train and velocity to approximate maximum speed of the engine when it pulls, 12 and 6 coaches are. So what we can say, let the engine's forces F. In the first case, it is being equal to mass times acceleration plus that resistive force, because we will have F minus Fr. So F minus Fr, Fr is K times total mass is 4m plus 2m, that is 6m, and it is proportional to velocity also, so proportional to 20, that is equal to 6m into, we can say this is, okay, we say the power of the engine remains constant, the power of the engine will remain the same. So here the force would be the resistive force would be 6m into 20 into some constant K. So the power would be this K times 6m into 20 into 20 square, that is the fixed power, that is going to be fixed. So this is K into 6m into 20 square will be equals to, when it is pulling 6 coaches, it will be, mass will become 8m and it will become V square. So V square will become 6 by 8 into 20 square, or you can say V will become root 3 by 4 into 20. So root 3 by 4 into 20 means root 3 into 10, root 3 is 17.32. We can, if I am right, yes, it is 17.32. I can make it out. Here none of the option is matching. They have given an answer for the question when it is only proportional to weight of train. Here they have written velocity too, so it would be proportional to V square. The solution did by NTA app is also wrong. And similarly for the next one, what we will have, K into 6m into 20 square would be equal to K into what we have, 12 means 14m into V square. So V would be root of 6 by 14 into 20. So again that won't be coming also, that would be, let what you can say, 3 by 7 I can make it out, root by 3 by 7 into 20, so that won't also match. So for me it's also a bonus, the solution is not right. So this was today's test. Think for